Hi guys, welcome to another Ross Perry Productions video. Now this is part 6 on my mini-series on how to service a KLR650. Now what I wanted to do is share my checklist with you that I go through on the bike before I embark on a long journey. Now I'm travelling 2,500 kilometres down to Phillip Island from Sydney for the World Superbikes in a couple of days. So I'm just going to share with you my checklist and also the toolkit I take with me. So let's look at the checklist. Item 1. Check the headlights, both dips and full beam are working. Number 2, check the tail lights and retro plate lights. Number 3, check the brake lights, both using the front and the rear switches. Number 4, the indicators, again, front and rear, left and right. Number 5, the horn. Number 6, check the battery terminals. Number 7, check the brake pads, front and rear. Number 8, check the brake fluid. Number 9, check the brake lever play, front and rear. Number 10, check the coolant level. Number 11, check the oil level. Number 12, check the air filter. Number 13, check the tyre pressure and tyre tread. Number 14, check the clutch and throttle play. Number 15, check the steering moves freely. Number 16, check the chain and both sprockets. Number 17, check all of the bolts including mirrors. Number 18, look for any leaks across the bike. Number 19, make sure you've got a full tank of fuel. And number 20, that you have the right tools you need for your bike and the journey. So what I'll show you now is me checking each of those items on the checklist on my KLR650. For items 1 to 5 on the checklist, as simple as it seems, just go around the bike and check all the lights and the horn work fine. Dip beam, main beam, left indicator, right indicator, horn, and on the rear you want the tail light, and you want to go and check to make sure that's lighting up the retro plate as well. Brake light from the front brake, brake light from the rear brake, left indicator and right indicator. Now the battery's found over the left hand side of the bike. I've made a video on how to remove and replace the battery, but all we're going to be doing is checking out the terminals. So going to need to take off this panel on the other side, just to get the seat off. With the seat now off, you can clearly see the battery. Now, like I say, I have made a video on how to remove and replace the battery, but all we're going to do for now is just check that there's no corrosion or loose connections on the top of the battery. Check both connections here. Like I say, I've recently had mine on and off, so I know mine's good. Now to check the front brake pads is actually easiest from underneath. So these are brand new. So the best way to check the rear brakes is to actually look from the back and just make sure you can see they've got enough meat on them. So mine are brand new. For the front brake fluid level, we're just going to sit on the bike, get the bike upright, and just look next to the throttle there. There's a viewing glass, and we're just going to make sure the level is full in that window. You can just see a little air bubble at the top, that's fine. For the rear brake reservoir, we're just going to look through this little grate on the right hand side of the bike, just above the pedal. And we're just looking for the liquid level, so you can just give the bike a bit of a wobble, and you see it there. Mine's right near the upper line, which is where we want it. Okay, so just check the brake lever play, make sure it's not excessive, making sure everything's tight. Do the same for the rear brake, making sure there's nothing loose. To check the coolant level, just come down on the right hand side, get the bike nice and level. I've got it up on the paddock stand, and you're going to notice there's a little window here with full and low there. So as you can see, my fluid level's about there. So just make sure your coolant is near enough to the full but not over full, and top it up as required. To inspect the oil level, there's a little window over the right hand side of the vehicle. So what we're going to do is have the engine a little bit warm, have it running for a couple of minutes, turn it off, let the oil settle to the bottom, and then we're just going to make sure the bike is vertical. So you're looking for your oil level just to be in line with the top line there. To check the air filter, we're just going to take off this side panel. Just using a Phillips number 2 screwdriver. Undo this bolt here. Open up the door. And then I've just replaced my air filter. You can watch my video on that. But what you're looking for is any sort of debris in there, sort of too much oil or too little oil. Mine seems just about right. Obviously I've just replaced it. Put that back on. To check the tyre pressure, I use one of these little gadgets. However, you may just want to use whatever pump you're using, whether it be a filling station or a foot pump maybe. Just on the left-hand side of the rear swing arm, it's actually got your tyre load data. Note the interesting way that's spelled tyre. If yours doesn't have a sticker on there, it's fallen off. I'll put mine up now. As you'll see, there should be a consistent 21 psi in the front tyre, and the rear tyre will range from 21 psi to 28 psi depending on the load you're carrying. We're now just going to check the throttle, making sure there's not too much play. There should be a little bit, but no more than that. And the same with the clutch lever. Just making sure there's not too much play, just a little bit is fine. And also just check in here and make sure there's no fraying. I've actually had that before, where the clutch cable snapped right there. To check the steering, we're going to do 2 checks. One's with the engine off and one's with the engine on. So just take the steering all the way to left, all the way to left lock, and all the way to the right lock. We're just hearing and trying to feel for anything snagging or catching. And then what we'll do is we'll do that with the engine on, and you want to make sure that the rev range just stays flat and it doesn't go up and down, because if it does, we know that the throttle's getting caught. All good? Okay, with the chain you're looking for 4 things. 1, how loose the chain is. Now mine's probably on the limits. 2, look at the rear sprocket. Make sure the teeth aren't bent over. Now my wear is again probably on the limits. I think I want to be changing my chain and sprockets in the next probably 1,000 kilometers. Check the front one as well, just through here. And then next one, we're just going to check how dry it is and how flexible the chain is. Now mine's fairly stiff, so I'm going to protect the tyre, and I'm going to use some chain lube. Now like I say, I'll be changing the sprockets in the next 1,000 kilometers or so anyway. Now before a long journey, one of the last things I like to do is go over the whole bike, and what I'm checking for is any leaks or anything that could be loose and tightened up. So on this bike there's a handful of tools you need to do this, and that will probably see you through 90% of the bike. So we have an 8mm socket, 10mm socket, a 5 and 6mm Allen key, and a Phillips screwdriver. I'll do a time lapse now. So this is the toolkit I like to take with me on the KLR650. Now they are tools quite specific to the KLR650 because they're the right sizes. Now you may need to check your own bike if you're not using the KLR. Now these aren't tools that are going to be able to replace an engine or do any major surgery, but they should be enough to get you by at the side of the road to get you somewhere safe. So I take one of these, which is 1.5mm to 8mm Allen keys, 10mm spanner, a ratchet set with 8, 10 and 12mm sockets, because they're the most popular on the bike, flathead screwdriver, number 2 Phillips screwdriver, a knife, some cable ties, collection of tape, torch, some pliers, a bleed pipe in case I need to bleed the brakes at all if there's air got in the system somehow, and a tyre pressure gauge. Now these are the tools that I take. If you take other tools, please let me know in the comments section if you think that there's anything more helpful, because it will help me out in future. But if not, these are the tools I take, and this is what I'd suggest is the minimum you should be taking on a long journey. And there you go, that now concludes my mini-series on how to service the KLR650. If you found this video or the series helpful, please give me the thumbs up, check out any of my other videos and subscribe to my channel.